Two. Scott,
Yep. So thank you, Madam Chair.
you're welcome.
Yeah, so this is the same bylaw council considered at the last council meeting, 3 readings. So council has the opportunity to adopt this time.
Go ahead, Councillor Bailey.
I'll move that motion to adopt.
I'll second.
Councillor Peter, second. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried.
We're now regulating short-term rentals. That was a big step. That was
Big step, you guys. They're all over it now. District of Sycamus fees and charges amending bylaw number 1028, 2023 adoption. Recommended the District of Sycamus fees and charges amending bylaw number 1028, 2023 be adopted this 8th day of February 2023. Scott, do you want to just give us a
And thank you. So this goes hand in hand with the previous bylaw. And yeah, the fee for these will be $265. And we can revisit it in the future and how it works. But I think 265 is pretty accurate for the inspections and then the administration time.
perfect? Can I get a mover?
Councillor Bailey, Councillor Bushel.
So any discussion on this? Call the question, all in favor? Carried. Okay, adoption of the District of Sycamus Revenue Anticipation Borrowing Bylaw number 1029, 2023 adoption. Recommendation that the District of Sycamus Revenue Anticipation Borrowing Bylaw number 1029, 2023 be adopted this 8th day of February 2023.
Kelly, are you going to give us a? Sure.
Or Scott?
No, this is definitely more of a me thing than a Scott thing. So this is our revenue anticipation bylaw. It's for adoption here today. This just authorizes us to access our line of credit, which is held with the credit union of 1.5 million. As the majority of our revenue is collected in July, recognizing our expenses happen all throughout the year. This authorizes us under the community charter to access our line of credit, which we rarely do, but it gives us that ability.
Perfect, thank you. Could I get a mover on this? Councillor Beach, Councillor Bushel, any discussion? All in favor? Carried. Staff reports, 2022 housing strategy. Recommendation that council endorse the 2022 housing strategy and direct staff to implement the strategy. Scott, are we going to you for an update on this?
Okay, you can. Thank you. So this is the 2022 housing strategy. So an update of, I think it was our 2009 strategy. Sarah has been working with the housing committee to put this together with some separate strategies to implement some of the goals of the plan. And yeah, right now staff is recommending that council endorse the strategy and direct staff to start implementing the strategy. Sarah will continue to work with the housing committee on how they want to implement the strategy and maybe what can come first, and then we can look at the budget and see what we can afford to do. But yeah, as it was presented at committee of the whole, staff's recommending that the council endorse the strategy.
Excellent, thank you. Did I get a mover?
Councillor Rich,
Seconder,
Councillor Evans.
you guys have any comments on this?
Well,
Bailey?
maybe just quickly, I mean, we had a really good discussion a couple of weeks ago at the committee of the whole. I fully support it. I think it's a well thought out plan. Now it's just going to be how we implement it and what parts can we implement and how many different pieces of it we could put together. But the housing committee deserves a great round of applause and thanks.
Perfect. Thanks to the housing committee. Anything else?
Yeah, just where I wanted to echo that, Scott and his team and the committee itself that spent so much time on it did an amazing job. So that's good.
Absolutely. Scott?
I would say this was all Sarah, and I think Councilor Airy said that if you watched one of the videos of the housing strategy meetings, it would be a masterclass in housing. So it's been Sarah's baby, and she deserves all the credit.
Perfect. Okay.
All right.
Any more discussion? Yeah, I'll call the question. All in favor? Everyone. Carried. Okay, lease on 502 Cedar Street, recommendation that council authorize the mayor and corporate officer to execute a lease agreement with Kids Kingdom Child Care Society to operate child care services at 502 Cedar Street as presented this 8th day of February. Kelly, did you want to take that away, please?
Yes, most definitely, through the chair. So, no surprise, we've issued we did a request for proposals, asking for childcare providers. We selected Amar and Kieran, who are going to be running the daycare. They have now established a not-for-profit society, Kids Kingdom Childcare Society. They're in the process of getting their licensing their appropriate licensing. We're working behind the scenes on that. And this is the lease agreement associated. Some high-level details about the lease agreement. It's very similar to the one we had with Eagle Valley with some minor changes. So it's the effective date is for April 1st. So that's when they'd be taking it over. The total is for 15 years. So 5-year term, and then with 2 additional 5-year terms. The annual rent for the first the annual rent is $1 until 18 months post renovation. So the plan is to do the renovation, allow it to generate some income and be sustainable. And then at that point, there's an option to charge rent for the remaining 5-year term. So let's say it's in year 2, then there's an option to charge rent at $18,480 a month. And that was based on a dollar charge per child, not the actual square footage. I think it worked out to $30 per child. But then at the end of the 5 years on the renewal term, we are able to change the rent. So all the terms remain the same, but the rent changes. So, and at that point, we can ask to see their financials and then determine if it makes sense, because we want it to be a viable, successful business, but we also don't want to, we want to make sure we're getting our piece too. So at the beginning, we're allowing them, same with that we did with Eagle Valley Resource Society, that they don't have to pay rent. And same with utilities. The utilities follow the same philosophy. 18 months post renovation, and then then after that point, we're able to charge utilities thereafter. And the rent is renegotiable upon each renewal term. Everything else remains the same. There is an exit clause that the tenant or the landlord can provide notice. 90 days written notice to exit the lease. So we've kept it flexible. I mean, that's not the intention, but it's always good to have a good exit strategy. And the tenant has the first right of refusal to acquire the land and building if the district ever so chooses to sell it at the end of the lease or at any time during the lease. So that's embedded in there, but it's up to us in terms of, or the district to see if they want to sell it. Yeah. And with that, those are the key terms. In terms of financial implications, really nothing new from previous years because we've never received rent on this facility. But after a couple of years, hopefully we will start receiving rent. And so then we'll actually cover our costs and generate a little bit of money from the building.
Excellent. Okay, could I get a mover? Councillor Rich, seconded by Councillor Evans. Any conversation? Anybody have anything to add? Okay, oh, go ahead.
Well, just Kelly, good work on the terms. I think you got everything covered, and yeah, it's great that you're working one-on-one with them, and good to get this put to bed, and we'll move on. And it sounds real good.
And is Omar, he's raised in St. Louis, is he? Yeah,
I went to school with Amar. Yes, so he was raised here.
Oh, that's awesome. Good, yeah, full circle, right? So that's great to see.
Yeah, and we've already received even today, we received another email from somebody looking for daycare. So I forwarded it to him. He's like, oh, his grandmother used to there's a connection and
Yeah.
his grandma works at my parents. Yeah.
That are raising their children here. So that's cool. It's such a good connection. Okay, let's call the question then. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay, so renewal agreement for services with the Sycamoose and District Chamber of Commerce. Recommendation that council authorize the 1-year renewal for the agreement for services between the District of Sycamoose and the Sycamoose and District Chamber of Commerce, with increases to service fees from $66,000 and $10,000 to $70,000 and $11,500 respectively. Okay, Kelly,
So
Bianca?
this one was brought to the finance committee. So then we have an option for a 1-year renewal. So this is the option. So they came forward and requested additional $4,000 for the service fee for visitor information center and Info on the Go to cover wage cost increases. And then an additional 1,500 additional for Music in the Park for new insurance costs that they're seeing for the Music in the Park event. Specifically, their insurance cost policy does not cover music in the park, so they had to get a separate insurance policy just for this specifically. So that's to cover that new cost. So any other questions?
Next, I'm gonna call question. Can I have the mover? Thank you, Gord. Second. Thanks, Councillor Bailey. Any discussion? Okay, now I'll call the question. All those in favor? Okay, thanks, Malcolm. Carried. Okay, contribution agreement with the Eagle Valley Arts Council. Recommendation that council authorize mayor and corporate officer to execute the contribution agreement between the District of Sycamoose and the Eagle Valley Arts Council as presented this 8th day of February 2023. Bianca?
And this one, no changes to the agreement, just updating the years for a 5-year. This is being just the standard agreement we've had with Eagle Valley Arts Council. Kim came to our last finance committee meeting and outlined, everything that the Eagle Valley Arts Council does for the community. I think it was very, very well received. And yeah, so just moving that forward and 5,000 annually.
Could I get a mover? Councillor Bushel, Councillor Evans, second. Any comments, questions? All those in favor? Carried. Okay, notices of motion, resolutions. Rural BC Community Award Letter of Support. Recommendation that council direct staff to submit a letter for the 2023 Rural BC Community Award for the establishment and operations of the Sycamoose Community Healthcare Center. I don't know who's going to take this, but I think it's interesting. What is happening is we're basically nominating ourselves. So
Yes,
because we are simply rock stars in the healthcare industry.
correct.
Okay, so Kelly,
Yeah, we were recommended to nominate ourselves by the Rural Healthcare Organization. So this is to follow that up with a formal endorsement by council, and then we'll go ahead and proceed with the award, and maybe we'll get it.
okay, well, we already talked about it. Could I get a mover? Councillor B, seconder, Councillor Evans. Okay, you want to talk about? Okay. I wanted to, yeah.
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
No, this is really awesome, but I just want to say that my feeling is, because we've already discussed one of these self-nominations in terms of Truth and Reconciliation. This isn't really a Truth and Reconciliation nomination. This is about the concept that we're putting forward for this healing center. And the fact that you guys are there moving it forward front and center, right? So I just don't want us to sort of put a lot of emphasis or even bring up the Truth and Reconciliation piece right now, because that's kind of a sensitive area. That's a partnership with the Splatsheen that we need to share that one with. So I think we have to be careful that we stick to, sort of taking over a practice that, just that whole process. And the Truth and Reconciliation is huge, but let's not make a big deal out of it in this one, because I don't think it's about that.
Absolutely, and I agree with you. I mean, we were forward thinking and visionary when we decided to purchase the medical.
Absolutely,
center.
it's all about that.
And the district is owning our medical center and now running it, and
Yeah.
Growing our medical panel, our customer panel from 1,500 to just about 3,000, now 2,700. somewhere.
Stability, yeah, and the stability of recruiting physicians and that whole piece. Okay, I got it.
On the fact that we did recruit doctors, we did do interviews, we did, we do have, 2.5 doctors in Second Moose now.
Yeah.
So it's very exciting what we did and the strides that we made.
Absolutely.
For our community, so. Councillor Evans.
Bob, yeah. Hey,
Bob.
thank you through the chair. What do we win if we win?
Really recognition.
To get recognition,
We get a plaque?
Yes.
Excellent.
problem.
Perfect. Malcolm, go ahead.
Hi, thank you. I got a letter from my doctor, Dr. Carol Connick, that she's retiring. This summer. June, I think. So what are we doing to recruit another doctor, or how are we handling that transition?
So that has kind of been our portfolio there, Malcolm. We have with Interior Health, Mayor's Round Table. Interior Health has a site where you can advertise your community and it advertises for medical professionals. So I think that we should perhaps put together a good solid ad, the benefits of our community, some pictures of where we're living. This is an attractive area for a doc. We've got a new community healthcare center coming up in a year and a half. I mean, it's perfect. It's perfect for a starting doctor or someone who's looking to retire. So good. Okay, thanks. Go ahead.
There's two places that you can actually register to put us out there. And one of them is called Better Here, and we can use any video, we can use a lot of media and presentation on that one. When I was recruiting, there really wasn't as much at that time to put on, but there's two sites we can recruit on.
Both of those for sure. Anyone else have any comments? Go ahead, Cal.
Thank you. Further to Councillor McCabe's comments in terms of our plan for Dr. Connick leaving us in June is we're very lucky because we have a nurse practitioner that will be taking over a lot of her patients. A nurse practitioner can do a lot of the things that a doctor can do, and that wage is covered by Interior Health, and we get a portion of overhead. So we're actually still going to get the equivalent of 3.5 doctors with having a nurse practitioner in lieu of 1 doctor. Oops, sorry.
Perfect. Thanks, Kelly. Any other comments, questions? Go ahead, Sarah.
Just on that note, adding to what Kelly had mentioned, we are working on some communication to share with the general public about this change. I know the letters have gone out to Dr. Connick, but we will be sharing that with the community.
Absolutely. Good to hear. Okay. Anything else? Let's call the question. Is there a question in there? Should we do
Nominate ourselves for
nominate ourselves? Actually, I need a mover.
You have one.
Do I have one
Yeah.
already? I've been through that stage. Yes.
Yeah, I had to wait to talk.
Exactly. I think I just right in there. Okay, is all in favor? Oh, good. Very, thank you. Okay, correspondence. You're just cooking right through this meeting. Correspondence. The Shuswap Trail Lines funding request. Shuswap, who wants to take this? Gord, do you want to take this one? Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, this is correspondence, yeah. This is the Shuswap Trail Lines oversees the Shuswap Regional Trail Strategy Group, and it's a group that meets 4 times a year, and it's motorized and non-motorized, and we've been funding them since 2016, and we provide $500 a year, and it's basically for the facilitator, and it used to be facilitated by the Fraser Basin. And Mike Simpson, who used to facilitate, actually retired from the Fraser Basin, but he did a really good job. So they want to continue to retain him as a contractor. But they really help out. They're doing our application. They're helping out with our application on or taking it over to help us get the Owlhead Bike Park going. And and they're now starting to include motorized. So Sycamoose is a very motorized community. And so this is unique in the entire province of BC, where you get the motorized and the non-motorized working together. And most of the applications that go to front counter or go to rec sites and trails, all start at this round table. So whether it be motorized or non-motorized. So you bring this to the round table, you know, whether Carly attends all the meetings. Now I used to attend them when I was with the Snowmobile Club for years. And yeah, so it's a good group and they're making great strides in the Shuswap for trails. So I just wanted to bring that up, and Scott has something to add as well.
They've helped us out quite a bit with our Parks and Trails Master Plan, our active transportation network plan, and they actually have a little bit of money they've been sitting on designated for Sick Moose, probably about $4,000 that they're looking to spend in Sick Moose. So it's a good partnership.
Excellent.
The chair. I just want to say, because it's an opportunity to give them kudos, that the Shuswap Trail Alliance has been around and really basically was the first group that started partnering with our First Nations on trails, building the history, that whole thing. They kind of have set the model that I think the rest of us have started to follow in those years following. And I think I saw somewhere where they started, was it 2009 was the first? They've been around for a while. They've been around building trails and partnering with the First Nations for a while. And I just want them to receive, you know, the credit for that, because I think they've set that model of partnership up and working with them. And now we're all beginning to do the same thing. That's great.
Perfect. Thank you. Go ahead.
You know, just to add Lori Snyder Wood, she was one of the founding members, and she lived in Sycamoose for quite a long time. She moved to Salmon Arm and now is in Inverby. So anyways.
Well, they have added a lot to our communities and communities around us. So I think what we're looking for is a letter of support. So Sarah, do you have a resolution?
Well, so I think it's just correspondence. I think it'll go into our budgeting, and so it's
Yeah, they're asking for $500 a year for the next 4 years, and it's already in the budget because we've had it in there since.
So we don't need to do a resolution?
No, if everybody's doing it, will make sure it's incorporated in the budget.
Yeah.
Which is.
Is everyone in favor of that? I can't see Malcolm's face. I took Buddy out again. Malcolm?
I'm in favor of it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so everyone's in favor. Okay, let's carry on. Okanagan College Shuswap Revelstoke Branch Letter of Support. Somebody want to grab this? Letter of support?
Sure, I can grab it. So this was forwarded on from Donna Helgeson. And so they're requesting a letter of support to offer a program around trauma-informed practice at the Okanagan College. So they want to offer that program and they're looking for letters of support for it. So we thought we're in the healthcare business. And so we thought we'd bring it to council to see if they would be willing. I mean, I'm not an expert on this trauma-informed practice, but maybe Pam is. A little bit more about it.
Yeah, so I think we're a pretty active community. We've got rescue people working, we've got water rescue, we've got, mountain rescue. And yeah, trauma-informed support is about supporting people who are supporting people in traumatic and crisis situations. And so it's really important. I think we tend to not think about the trauma that people go through in all sorts of professions, medical doctors, nurses, counselors. And so that's what that's about, is just learning about trauma-informed support.
Okay.
That's my understanding anyways. And there's another one there, isn't there? Trauma-informed practice. Oh, there you go.
They go together, correct?
Yeah, they definitely.
But yeah, and the necessity for folks that
Yeah, no, it's
that need support.
absolutely,
Support that-
because you're in trauma all the time when you're dealing with traumatized people.
For sure.
So there's no way to get it around it.
Trauma breeds trauma.
Yeah. Okay, so correspondence for information. MLA Greg Kyler, letter of support for the RW Broom Bridge replacement. I'd like to thank Greg for doing that. I think he's also planning on setting up a meeting with MOTI. The CSRD has also sent a support letter. And they are also asking MOTI for an update as well. So it's good to see that there's a little bit of talk. The release from the MOTI regarding the Broom Bridge was exactly what we had expected. Not exactly what we wanted to hear. We wanted to hear a little bit more excitement and perhaps a little bit more of the date moving forward, but unfortunately, and you know what, it's still early in that conversation because I think we had the conversation with them and then they did the press release. I think they're maybe just getting most of our correspondence now, so we'll see how that rolls out after they get our correspondence, but it's also nice to see that they've repaired the guardrail on the on Highway 1 on the bridge there, because that was definitely a safety concern. So I'm glad Greg did that. Thank you. And our RCM SARS 106, the 2022 activity summary. Does anyone want to touch on that? Yeah, go ahead, Gord.
Yeah, I just want to, we should thank them for all they do. They've done quite a bit in the last, ever since their inception. I'm very thankful that they started up. I remember back in the early 80s, all the way to 2006, when that was me driving the service boat up the lake to bring somebody back or help somebody. And they didn't have a boat or nothing. And, all the marinas pitched in and everybody was helping everybody. But now they just, they're there for you every time there's an accident or a situation, they're up the lake and they got a great crew, all of them. So kudos to all of them. And yeah, any way we can help them. And we're working with them in regards to finding a location for their boathouse. And so I think they're doing great work, and yeah, it'd be nice to be able to thank them somehow in a way.
Yeah, I'm going to echo that. I think they do great work too. I agree with Gord. They've given folks on the lake a service that we provided but weren't qualified to provide. Like we would take our service boat with all of our tools and paramedics. So it's a better system. And not only do they look after our boating community, but they also go out to our cabins out on the lake as well and do a lot of services out there as well. So, and they're regularly training, and I'm just so fortunate. We're simply so fortunate here in Sycamoose to have SARS. It's amazing. And
I agree.
And we should do everything that, and we do as a district, everything we can do to help them find space and work with them to be able to stay here. Okay, does anyone else have any comments on that? Okay, we are going to go into 15 minutes of public input. Ed, can you talk for 15 minutes? Thanks. Go ahead, Mary.
Every year this time the water is very low. And every year I notice as just as you're crossing the bridge, I know it's kind of unsafe to keep your head turned, but not very far up. There is like a little opening. And many years ago, I did stop and take some pictures. I had a good camera, but I don't have one anymore. And on a nice sunny day, if someone could go up there and take some pictures, and you take a picture of the lighthouse and over, and then it's getting so narrow. And in comparison from years ago too, it was getting narrow. But if we could get some, I did submit some pictures years ago. But I know it's to do with oceans or whatever.
Yeah.
But because of all the houseboats, they can't go around the other way. But eventually,
It's gonna need some dredging, you're absolutely
I
right.
thought with the bridge going in, and I don't know if that can be incorporated.
I think as a matter of fact, as a matter of fact, I think the tug has a bit of a challenge going through there now, because you can almost feel the bottoming out going through the channel. So that is something that's gonna have to be addressed.
Commander, when I'm going to get BBM through.
Yeah.
To see if we could make it through that little, you don't realize how small it is until you look down. So if someone has a good camera, we could get some good pictures on a sunny day. This is the time of year to do it.
Go ahead, Councilor Bush.
Good point, Mary.
Mhm.
It's, I was looking through a dredging application that we put through years ago, and I was actually looking through it last night. And there is some overhead shots of that channel back years ago, back in the forties, and it, I remember when I came here, the very first year, they were dredging that channel, and they used to dredge it for a few years, and then all of a sudden they quit dredging it. And for whatever reason, for salmon or whatever, but it's getting narrower and narrower, and this is a really low year for water. And it's something we should actually take some photos and
When Peter took a measurement one time, that PDN had a foot to go before he could run it, it was that low, and it was in the center there to get through to. You went to one side to the other, lucky you got a good captain. Be careful, it was scary. And now with low water, not much snow, and that, who knows what's gonna happen.
And if one boat's heading out and another one's coming in, they're gonna ground out.
two boats wouldn't pass there.
Yeah.
Absolutely, we do need some water in the channel pretty quick, we need some moisture here. So, but also to your point, though, the salmon don't like the heat of the channel, and they like to be in cooler water, so the channel being shallow and not dredged is not helping the fish. So, and I think that's common knowledge, it's fact, so I'm not quite sure we should stay on top of that, looking to dredge the channel.
I'll take some pictures.
You'll take some pictures?
Yeah, and we'll talk to Daryl, and we'll see about at least informing Nav Waters.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Any other questions? All good? Okay, well, I guess we can adjourn this regular council meeting at meeting for February 8th, 2023, be adjourned at 5:35. Oh, sorry, Bob, second?
I was just moving.
Second, all in favor? I never think that anyone's gonna oppose to this.
No.
It's too early. I'm quite sure.
It's a little deceptive because we started at 9, we're ending at 5:30. Everyone thinks this was the last meeting, but yeah.
We barely had time
Yeah,
to run.
just for the record, we started at 9 a.m. today. Yeah.
It's the fastest meeting.
Oh.
Committee of the whole.